I'm Dan Wass, the inspector, and you're watching House Detective TV. Today we're going to talk about the 5-point inspection. So here's the scenario. You're shopping for a new home, but before you land on the one you just gotta have, here's some things to know. I call it the 5-point inspection because it covers the 5 most important and the most costly areas of a house to repair. Now when you're ready to commit to a purchase, I recommend you have your house inspected by a licensed home inspector. But until then, what you're about to hear will help you make a decision as to whether or not you're going to move forward with the house or move on. Let's start with the outside and move in. We'll start with the roof. Inspection point number 1. This DeGraff Bloom model home has an asphalt shingle roof. It's a gable style roof with asphalt shingles that have a lifespan of 20 to 30 years depending on climate conditions. What we want to see is that the shingles are laying flat and in good condition. What we don't want to see are any shingles that are lifting, curling, missing, or damaged in any way. Also keep a lookout for moss. Why? Well, moss does 3 things. It traps moisture, shortens the lifespan of your roofing material by years, and it's an indication that your roof's not getting enough sunlight. If you see moss on the roof, you most likely have trees overgrowing the house, and this is something to avoid. We also check for proper venting. Proper roof venting is crucial to the life of your roof. In most cases, the combination of a ridge vent and soffit vents are best because together they allow the cooler air to rise up into the soffits and the warmer air to rise out the ridge, providing maximum airflow in the attic, which prolongs the life of your roof, preventing moisture buildup.
House Detective!
To prevent moss growth and prolong the life of your roof, trim all trees that are shading your house and remove leaves, pine needles, and any other debris. Now let's move inside and take a look at one of the most expensive appliances you'll find in your house, the furnace, number 2 on our 5-point list. Your heating system may not seem so important in the summer months, and you may not even think of firing it up during a walkthrough. But when winter rolls around, it comes in kind of handy. Here's what to look for. Check the outside of the unit for rust. Any amount of rust on the heating system may be an indication of basement moisture or rainwater entering through a vent pipe. Check the burner flames if you can see them. We'd like to see a straight blue flame with orange streaks. A yellow flame is not good. That's a sign of incomplete combustion, and it's something that a licensed heating specialist must look at. Look on your furnace for service history records. This will give you an indication of whether or not your furnace has been maintained properly and what has been serviced. If your heating system has a power vent, check to make sure that it's working properly. As a licensed home inspector, I use a gas leak detector, also known as a sniffer, to check any gas line joints or valves connected to the heating system for leaks. Look for black soot on or around the furnace. Black soot is a sign of improper combustion or venting, and like an improper flame, this too is something that a licensed heating specialist should look at. If you have a boiler system, check any water lines for leaks.
House Detective!
To ensure your heating system will keep you warm all winter long, hire a licensed professional to service your system every year. Now, let's move on to number 3 of our list. We're looking at the electrical system. The first thing I want to see is that the electrical panel box has a cover, the box is intact, it's rust and moisture free, and it's properly fastened to the wall. Ideally, I like to see a 150 amp circuit breaker. Most newer homes will come with 200. Check all the branch lines and make sure they're properly fastened, and all the junction boxes have covers. Check to make sure that your bonding and grounding are correct. In this house, we can show that the water main connection and the gas line connections are bonded to the system. Also, check your ground rod connection. In the event of a ground fault, proper grounding provides a safe path of return for electrical current.
House Detective!
Make sure any electrical outlets in the kitchen, bathrooms, unfinished basements, garage, exterior of the house, or within 6 feet of a water source are ground fault circuit interrupter outlets. Now that we've looked at the electrical system, let's move on to number 4, the plumbing. When inspecting the plumbing, here are a few things to look for. Check all the shutoff valves, supply lines, and drain lines for leaks. This means you're going to want to flush the toilets and run all the faucets. Now while the faucets are running, don't forget to look underneath the sinks to check the traps for leaks. When looking at the water heater, at a glance I get a pretty good idea of its condition by checking the outer case and plumbing fittings for leaks. Typically, a water heater will leak at the top and bottom edges. I also check to make sure that we have proper ventilation and that all electrical and plumbing lines are secure. In my career, I've seen too many to count bad repairs. If you see something that doesn't look quite right, ask, because it could very well be in need of repair.
House Detective!
Check your water heater temperature setting. 120 to 125 degrees is ideal. If the temperature is too high, you'll get burned, and too low can result in your dishwasher not cleaning your dishes properly. Ready for the 5th point on our 5-point inspection? Let's finish up with the lower structure. The structure of a house is a very complex and integrated system. You're not expected to know or understand all of its complexities. Today I'll highlight a few key areas. Ideally, I like to see a dry foundation and floor without any cracks or defects. We also want to see that all the structural components of the house are intact and free of any wood-destroying insects. This is a poured foundation. If you can see the walls, we want to make sure that they're straight and free of any cracks or defects. We inspected these walls prior to insulation, and they're perfect. We also want to take a look around at the floor for any cracks, defects, or moisture. This is the carrying beam. Check it for rot, damage, or any other defects. The beam runs straight from one side of the basement to the other, and is supported by posts. Check the posts, make sure that they're fastened at the carrying beam, and check them for rust. If there is rust only at the bottoms, this could be a sign that the basement has an ongoing water issue. The floor joists typically lay on top of the carrying beam. Check all the floor joists for rot, defects, or any damage. Check the sill plates for moisture and damage. This is a common spot for insect activity.
House Detective!
When you're shopping for a house, if you don't understand something, ask questions. If you don't understand the answer, ask more questions. An actual home inspection will go much more in detail in these areas and many others. Today I wanted to give you enough information so you can make an informed decision as to whether or not you're going to move forward with the purchase or move on. So thanks for joining me on my 5-point inspection. And for a complete 5-point checklist of today's show, visit our website at housedetectivetv.com. Next week, we're going to review the latest in green heating and cooling for your home. Remember, when you're ready to make a purchase, call an inspector. Today we're going to talk about the 5-point inspection. One more time.
What is that noise?
Give me a hint. You're talking. Just give me a clue. That's a sign of incomplete combustion. Okay. Roof. Trim all trees that are shading your house. And next week we'll review the latest in heat. We're going to review the latest in green. We'll review the latest in green heating and cooling for your home. Let's do that one more time. That's it. Well, that's easy.
That's your
okay.
intro.